All right. So tomorrow's activity is going to be, or practice is going to be you guys working through a Desmos activity. I worked through it myself. It was it was doable. Um, it would have been smoother if I had known some of these parts. So I'm going to show you some of the things you should expect. All right, so that way you can kind of figure it out for yourselves when the time comes. So let's say we have a right triangle here, and I have just an angle known as theta. If I'm trying to figure out this other angle over here, I have a theta, a 90-degree angle, and this unknown. I know that all three have to add up to 180 degrees. So I could say that 180 should equal 90 plus theta plus that unknown. So if you solve this equation, you should be able to figure out what that unknown is in terms of theta. Which makes sense because the unknown plus the theta are complementary angles. They'd have to add up to 90 degrees. So if I have 90 minus theta plus theta, that should equal 90, and it's still true. So consider that as you work through it. If you need to figure out like what that missing angle is, use something like this. I believe the activity is kind of foolproof where you have to get them right in order to keep going. And I thank you in advance for your patience. So aside from some of the angle work, what they'll do is they'll also ask you to talk about missing sides. So hopefully you guys remember your trig ratios, that if you have a angle like this, you're familiar with what sine of theta should equal and what cosine of theta should equal. Like in general, not like a specific number, but like in general, what does a sine ratio represent? What two sides of the triangle are you comparing? Same with the cosine, right? So let's say that the hypotenuse was some random expression, like, I don't know, square root of x minus z. If that's what my like hypotenuse represents, and I let A represent this side and B represent that side, then what you can do is this. If I'm trying to figure out how to express side length of A, given that I'm supposed to know the hypotenuse and I am told the angle, like as long as I know those two and I'm trying to figure out A, then I can say, well, sine of theta should equal A divided by the hypotenuse. It's a weird expression. And then from there, if I want to get the A by itself, then I can just multiply by the square root of x minus z on both sides. Right? And doing so, cancel this out. So you can say that whatever this weird expression is times the sine of theta should equal A. So if I can do that for A, then I can take that same idea and I can go ahead and address B. Because again, it's the same idea. I will know what the hypotenuse is, and you will know what the angle is. And you will see something like this tomorrow. It may not be square root of x minus z, but it'll be an expression. So just follow along with the algebra I'm showing you to kind of ease your way through it. So if I'm trying to figure out b, I know that I would want to use cosine because that's the adjacent side, would equal the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. So then if you're trying to solve for b, you would want to multiply both sides by the hypotenuse. So then you can say that square root of x minus z times cosine of theta can be used to represent your length of b. Okay? And then aside from that, we're going to have to talk about adding and subtracting fractions with pi. So give me a second. All right. So the other part that you're going to do that I think might give you a little bit of trouble based off what I've seen is the part where they're going to ask you to do some sorting. And not all of them will, like, you don't have to break these up into equal groups because they will not be equal groups. There will be some miscellaneous, some that have cosine of 7 pi over 12, some that have cosine of 11 pi over 12, and some that have cosine of 13 pi over 12. So, in order to do that, all you have to do is they're going to give you a bunch of them, and you just want to try and wait, that might be another activity. Let me double check real quick. I don't want to waste your time. Sorry, so there were actually like 2 Desmos activities I was looking at, and I confused the two. So as long as you understand what I just did with the triangle, that should be enough to carry you through that Desmos activity. It's only 14 slides. You will have to give like a little explanation for each step that you do. I would advise you guys that if you really understand what's going on and you think you understand what's going on, because I know some of you guys are very much explainers in the class, please go ahead and fill those in. If you guys kind of get it, but aren't really sure and you guys took a wild guess, you can just say, I just took a wild guess. But you need to fill out each of those explanation parts so that way you get your credit and it lets you progress down through the activity. And at the end, you'll see what the trig, sum, and difference identities are. And I like the activity because it shows you how they came up with this, which I think is really awesome for you guys to kind of see how it goes. And then when we have to practice using it, I'll show you a way that I learned, that I was taught how to remember some of these. It's a little bit of a funny story, but that'll be for Monday. So good luck. Thank you for your patience. Stay safe. Have a good weekend. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff.